Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a training run video, and what I do in a training run video is just I train in Rocket League. Right now I'm training air rolls because I gotta figure that out. And when I train in Rocket League, I talk about a subject that interests me, and the subject that we're going to be talking about today is Worlds that happened yesterday. Rlcs Worlds. Oh my god, Jesus, this is going to be hard for me to talk and air roll, because right now for me air rolling it's not instinctively, you know what I mean? I'm still practicing it. It doesn't like come natural. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about some stuff from Worlds, and the first thing that I want to address is the AU dominance that it had over NA. Now, I was watching Worlds, and a couple of my friends were watching Worlds, and we would talk about it on Discord, and you know, in the whole event they were talking about it too, how dominant AU was. And you know, seeing the whole event, it became very apparent that if the NA teams wanted to stand a chance against the AU teams, especially like BDS or Vitality, the American teams would have to peak to even have a chance. And I'm talking about really peak. You know what I mean? Like for SSG to beat Vitality, they will have to really peak. You know what I mean? While on contrast, those AU teams, they don't have to peak to win. You know what I mean? Their average gameplay is so good that it matches the peak of like an NA team. That's how disadvantaged the NA teams were compared to the AU. Now with that kind of advantage, I mean, how is NA ever supposed to compete with AU? And here's the thing, I do think that NA has the talent to compete with AU teams, but I don't think it's a question of talent. It's a question of like play style. And it will be hard for me to pinpoint exactly what it is that NA could do to catch up to the AU. What I've noticed that though is that AU, and when it comes to team chemistry, they play better as a team than most NA teams. Like, and when I started to realize that the best NA teams, the ones that had the best run, like G2 and SSG, were playing so great because they were playing very team-based. They had a very team-based play style, like the AU. So I do think the NA talent is there to compete with AU, but it just felt like, you know, how do I say it? Like the AU has had more time and experience playing that type of play style, like a more team-based play style. You know what I mean? I was listening to the Chalk podcast, and they were talking about how the American mentality is different than the AU mentality, and that traditionally, at least in the past, maybe this gonna change in the future, but traditionally, NA teams are more like they're more like individual based. You know what I mean? And when you have a good player, let's take Place for example, right? Like when you're first killer, you want to be the best player on your team. You know what I mean? It's not really about, you know, team chemistry and all that. It's about that in a way, but your main focus is like, it's partly egotistical. You want to be the best guy. You want to be the Michael Jordan. You want to be the LeBron. You want to be the Kobe Bryant. You want to be the star. While on AU teams, they do have stars, but it feels like the mentality is different. Like it's more like team oriented over there. It's more a team oriented play style. But it was pretty obvious that you know, that AU had the best teams in Worlds, honestly, especially Vitality and BDS. I was personally rooting for BDS to win out of the AU teams. But Vitality ended up winning, as we all know, and good for them, because Sen actually played great, and Alpha was really great too, and even Radosin. Like all three of them they all played great. I do want to say though, from an I was really impressed by SSG and G2. Honestly, they both had great runs. For example, I really like Rule 1, and even though I never thought that they could win Worlds, there was a hope in my head, in my mind, that they could probably win. You know, that would have been great, just because I like Rule 1. So yeah, I kind of wanted Rule 1 to win. I was also kind of cheering for G2 to win, because I wanted G2 to win and that JNaps will retire after. You know what I mean? Because my God, that guy deserves a break. And Atomic was great too. I also wanted SSG to win because, honestly, SSG surprised me so much. Like, you know the story of SSG and the roster changes, like when they had Rlcs and Seppico, and then when they added Daniel. I thought that when they added Daniel, since he was such a hyped superstar, that SSG was gonna do like great. But they didn't do that well. I mean, I don't particularly remember that they're super awful, but they're not doing as good as the current roster of SSG. And watching SSG play and watching Hoxer play, I really like Hoxer. But oh my God, LJ, dude, LJ plays so good that whole tournament. I mean, Arsenal played well too, but my God, dude, LJ, when LJ popped up, Jesus Christ, he was so good at not only was he good at scoring, he was good at just creating plays, you know, creating opportunities to score. Like he would get it past like most of the team. I mean, once you beat one or two players, and even the three players from the squad, once you beat them to possession, you obviously you clear up the net for your teammates to score. So he was doing that constantly with his aerials and just attacking from the corner of the field and bringing a middle to the goal. Dude, it was so good and so impressive. But the thing about AJ is he's great, and I think he was pretty consistent. However, he wasn't consistent in some plays. Now listen, every player makes a mistake, right? Like even Sen owned goal. You know what I mean? Sen the Messiah, he owned goal. But like I said earlier, if the NA teams had to have a chance, they would have to peak all the time. And sadly, LJ couldn't do that every game. But when he did, most of the time, they won, you know? See, now that I mentioned LJ, now I want to talk about the players that impressed me the most in the whole event. And I would say that I think LJ is the one that impressed me the most, honestly. He was just playing so good. And Atomic too from G2, like Jesus. Hoxer played really well too. Rice, there was a day or two where Rice was really popping for BDS, and obviously Monkey Moon played great. He always plays great. Oh, dude, how can I forget JoJo? Dude, JoJo, aside from LJ, the best strikers that I saw, the best scorers that I saw in the whole tournament was LJ and JoJo, dude. They were so good in the offensive attack. JoJo has become a beast, man, for Moist, and I gotta say, I mean, I wasn't rooting for Moist at all, honestly. But I love JoJo. I just love his personality, you know. And I will say that his teammates, I'm not gonna say they're bad, because honestly they're not bad. Cash and Juicy, I think, I mean, especially Cash, I saw him step up a couple of times. But I don't think they're in the same caliber as JoJo. You know what I mean? I mentioned this to my friend while we were talking, and it relates a little bit to G2 and Moist. Like, when Moist or G2, when they play like lower tier teams like they could beat, you know, easily. Players like Cash and Juicy could step up, or Naps. You know what I mean? When G2 plays a scrub team, for lack of a better term, Naps is gonna pop on them. You know what I mean? He's gonna pop on them, and he's gonna annihilate them. He's gonna score 6 goals on them. You know what I mean? But when they're playing a really good team, Atomic is the one that's gonna pop up. He's the one that's gonna show up. You know what I mean? And I think the same applies to Moist. You know, when Moist is facing like a scrub team, Cash is gonna kill, Juicy's gonna kill too. But when they're facing like a real tough opponent, the one that's gonna hold up the fort is gonna be JoJo. And that's exactly what he did. But I would say the players that impressed me the most, honestly, were LJ, JoJo, Hoxer, and Atomic. I would say those 4 are the ones that really impressed me the most through the whole tournament. Oh, and like I said, for Vitality, the whole squad, honestly, because Alpha played great. Radosin played great too. Sen is Sen, bro. He's the Messiah. Of course he played great. I didn't want Vitality to win, Jesus, because as good as Sen is, I want him to have a little bit more experience in LCS. Like, It's almost not fair how this kid comes into Rocket League and the first few months of him being pro, he already won a championship. I mean, you can say it's a testament to that's how good he is. But like, dude, compared to like other great Rocket League players that maybe even have never won a championship, like J-Naps. J-Naps is a great Rocket League player, but he doesn't have a championship like Sen does at the moment. So in a way, I like Sen. I don't really hate him. I have anything against him, but I kind of want him to pay his dues a little bit more. I didn't want it to come this easy for him. You know what I mean? But it did, because not only is he a great player, he's got a great squad. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Radosin and Alpha were great. They all have such a strong presence in the team that I can say Sen carried them. You know what I mean? All of them were really important and play a key factor to Vitality winning. Now, to end the video, I'm going to talk about the MVPs. I mean, LJ got offensive MVP, which he deserved. LJ popped off, dude. He played so good. Like, I knew, while he was playing, I'm like, dude, this guy has to be MVP. He's just playing too good to not be considered, at least in the run of being MVP. And thankfully, he got MVP. Defensive MVP was Batera. I like Batera a lot, but for some reason, I wasn't cheering for Carmine Corp this much in this event. And the overall MVP was Sen, because the Messiah again, dude. I see. Here's the thing: when he got the overall MVP, I don't know. I thought it should have gone to Alpha for some reason. Even maybe Radosin or like I don't know, or even Atomic. But Sen got the overall MVP, you know, and good for him. And Vitality got the win. He honestly, the thing that I kind of enjoy watching the most was SSG, because I don't know. I was their former fan, and seeing that this new roster that they have, it just kind of works. And I do think they should stick with that roster. I do think that how do I say this? They if they build more chemistry as a team, like start playing better and better, because they already played like a team that was playing, you know, a good team-based play style. You know what I mean? If they expand upon that, get better at that, dude, I think they have a chance of becoming one of NA's top teams. You know, same for G2, GC. I don't know about G2, because I think the ceiling cap for SSG right now, at the moment, they have a lot more room for improvement than G2 does. Because SSG, like I said, it's like a new squad. They could get better over time, but G2, if they're gonna remain with that squad, I don't see them getting like a lot better. But yeah, overall it was great, and that was my opinion on it. And yeah, thank you for watching.